Yeah.
Get a block of wood and tap it up. Get the next one then. That one's junk. I know it's junk. I know it's junk. Tim broke it.
Break shit.
Broke it. What you did, Tim. So force it up. Here's my. Oh, remember the governor gloves here. God damn it! I'm not gonna. Good idea. I never liked the creeper for half of this shit anyway. It's okay.
Because when I'm trying to move the crankshaft, it moves me.
Yeah, right. You got a block of wood or the rubber mallet? You can just.
Give me.
Here's a mallet. You cannot damn. Where's the bearing?
So.
That's funny, Tim.
Give me a rag.
Where's the bearing? Over here?
What?
I'm looking for the bearing.
Oh, it's up on top.
Okay, so got the head off. Obviously, you're watching Cody scrape the crap off of the top of his head. Yeah, pulling liners is what you're going to see next, but before you do that, you want to get as much crap off the top of the block as you possibly can because you just don't want it running down onto the crankshaft and in through the journals because it takes a lot of air and different types of cleaners and sprays to get that shit dislodged out of the off the crankshaft and out of the spots that you don't really want it in, especially inside the block in the coolant area after you remove the liners. So he's just scraping and cleaning, scraping and cleaning. There's a couple of things that you can and should do or should not do. There's shoulds and should not do's on this thing. It's okay to take a wire brush. I use a brass wire brush because you don't want to remove any metal from the top of the block. I believe Cody did do that. You see him working with that razor scraper. That will take 99% of the stuff off, and then if you spray it down with, say, a gum cutter or whatnot, which will get in and take any of that oil product off of the or oil off of the top of the block, you know. So you put gum cutter on there, and then you take a brass. You can probably use a stainless steel wire brush also. A hand one, and you brush and you brush and you brush and you brush until it comes loose, you know, until you're pretty clean, like 90% clean. But you don't want to take one of those little buzz pads and start buzzing it off because you'll remove metal unwanted. So next.
I know what cold is.
Oh. All right, so you're on number 2, right?
Yeah. Go back.
Yep. That was actually pretty awesome how that popped right the hell up out of there. Whoa, I guess so. Sorry about that. I won't do that till later. Come my way. Sorry about the bath. Okay, you're good. Alright. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Nothing. Shock here comes. Number 2. Awesome.
I'm gonna keep cranking on, get it out.
No, because then all the antifreeze is going to dump on you. We'll get them loose and then we'll pump them up. Wow. Is that rear motor mount about right? Alright, so now you're watching these cylinder liners come popping up out of here at a high rate of speed. I've sped it up 800% because, let's face it, nobody wants to sit and watch paint dry as we bullshit along. Now, as you can see, those liners, they just... you'll see me guiding the pin that we're using to push up on them. It's a very simple process for end frames. You can go spend the big bucks on a liner puller, or you can build a liner puller, which is going to break the bottom of the liner off, or you can go get a 2 or 3 ton or 4 ton or 5 ton floor jack and a piece of steel rod, not a block of wood. Wood splits on those things, but you get a piece of steel rod, solid steel rod, and drill rod or cold rolled. This just so happened to be a piece of hot rolled steel that I had. And you just put it under each one and jack on it, and boom, she'll pop. If you get the stubborn ones, like in the older tractors that are really stubborn, you can tap them with a brass hammer and wait. They'll come up. You know, you just snap, smack, smack on the rib of the liner. You don't want to do it on the block because you can dent the block, which at some point will cause leaks and stuff. So as you see, I'm in there doing a little bit of inspection work before I turn Cody loose on removing the O-rings and removing the O-rings and putting in the new O-rings. Now, when I did the 4010, the instruction manual said use a mild soap and put soap on the rings themselves, on the O-rings and packing rings, and put them in that way. Well, it seemed to create a lot of rust on the outside of the block and obviously on the inside of the block, and I could just imagine what the liners looked like on the inside of that block before I actually put in the Napacool, or the alkaline stabilizer that you put into the coolant. Now you can see me putting these liners in. They snapped right in there beautifully. We used silicone grease, like dielectric grease, to get that where it needed to be. Very important, though. I mean, you got to lubricate them, and you got to lubricate them with something that is, not going to cause you an ass ache. Now, that silicone dielectric grease, it's not going to dissolve in the coolant. Now, here comes the head. So it's very important that you are very gentle on the head, because I didn't remove the injectors. There was no need for me to remove the injectors. This is pretty much a quick and dirty engine in-frame overhaul kit. I used all the parts that I had in the kit, but I didn't use half the gaskets. I didn't pull the whole motor apart and buy the crankshaft or the connecting rod. Think about this, Wesley. The crankshaft and the camshaft and bushings and bearings like I did in the 4010. They are perfectly fine. I did a visual inspection on the camshaft. There's no flat spots on the lobes. There's no metal curling off the edge of the lobes. They're just really, really, really in great shape. I was thoroughly surprised. And if you watched the live streams on this, you did see that the bearings were just gorgeous. I mean, they came out of there and I was like, holy shit, for a turbocharged engine that has had the shit kicked out of it for 16,000 hours or so, these bearings look like they just got put in there a week ago. They really do. They looked perfect. Now I use assembly lube. It's Lubriplate assembly lube on all the bearings, on the journals, and on the the bearings and stuff, rods and mains, and that always worked well for me. I don't know why some people out there want to use some kind of fancy pants assembly oil from Elf or other manufacturers. Lubriplate has been a wonderful product. I've used it for over 30 years. Let's put it that way. I'm 46 years old. So if I say 30 years, I would probably be accurate at 30 years. The first diesel engine I ever overhauled was the 4430, and I believe, I want to say that was in the early 90s, early mid-90s. It was a rod knock, and I wasn't very good at it, but I did it. And that engine lasted for about, 5,000 or 6,000 hours. And it was, that's kind of normal. So on a 404 engine, 10,000 hours is on a new engine is good. It had 9,998 hours on that engine. And on an overhaul, if you get half as much as that on an in-frame, then you've done well.
This is how far we are on this thing. I have put Seafoam in the WD-40 container. What this is going to do, I'm going to soak it down overnight, and hopefully it loosens some of this stuff up while I'm sleeping. Yeah, this engine is super greasy. There was a leak. Was a slight leak in it up in here in this area, but there's new rubber gaskets I got to put in here on the return lines. But it had a slight leak there. This thing is really filthy on the outside. When I am done, we are going to pressure wash it before I put the hood and everything back on, which should work out pretty good. Yeah, so what has been done is new bearings, rod and mains. The rod and the main, well, I'm going to show you the main bearings. This is the main thrust bearing. It's perfect. I mean, I could have left these go. There was absolutely nothing wrong with these bearings. These are the mains. Nothing. They're like still perfect, like brand new. So I retorqued them, put them all together, retorqued them, put new bolts in, the rods, heads, all that done. And really, we torqued the head. That head is really a particular pain in the ass. That is torque to 75 pounds, torque to 110 pounds, wait 5 minutes, torque to 110 more pounds, then 60 degrees? 60 degrees.
60 degrees.
Yes, 1/6 of a turn or 60 degrees more on each one in a certain set pattern. So we did that. I did that, and we're done. We're pretty much done. The engine's back together. What I have to do now is basically just put all the fuel, clean it up a little bit there, put fuel lines back on. This is the oil pan. So the oil pan will need to be sealed. Again, I'm going to use the steel or the copper spray gasket for on there, and then I will put the new gasket on. We will put that together tomorrow, and we're going to start it up. We started this project this morning. Last night we took the hood off, right? I think I took the hood off and the exhaust manifolds last night, but for the most part, I can put the exhaust manifolds on right now, and you know, we're ready. We're doing our thing. So anyhow, see you tomorrow.